Call with Yoni and Paul. This is our finale for the regular season, but catch us during here the next 4 weeks. We are really excited to talk about our playoff predictions, a crazy week 17 getting teams into playoffs, and our Jets-Pats played each other in week 17 in a loser bowl. Still kind of a snooze fest in the first half, but fun nonetheless. Yoni, what are your thoughts on the game?
2 words, Paul. 2 words. Still here. We're still here. 7-9. We sweep the Jets. Big time win. Big time way to end the season. Cam Newton, his first 3 touchdown game passing the ball since 2018. Jacoby Myers adds his second touchdown pass of the season. He had no touchdown receptions of the season. Devin Asiasi gets his first couple catches and a reception touchdown. A lot of positives to take out of it. They were playing at home against the 2-14 Jets. And a lot of positives to take out of it for you, too. Adam Gase can now legally file for unemployment checks.
Adam Gase can also go fuck himself. All right. I hate Adam Gase. I don't like using that hate word, but fuck Adam Gase. So I'm very glad he's gone. We are researching many coaching candidates. I have some of my favorites. If people want to know, they can ask. And so I think there were some positives from the Jets game. Like Chris Herndon looked really good. He had 7 catches for 70-something yards, which is it's great for him because he was dropping balls left and right throughout the season. I'm hoping we can bring him back next year. Some bad news, like some of our rookies got hurt. Denzel Mims got a concussion. Mekhi Becton left the game with an ankle injury. So not really happy about that. But overall, we'll look forward to the draft like we do every single year. With that, though, we got Adam on the fan line coming in with his victory last week in the Monday Night Call League. He will be hosting us next week, so make sure to tune in and see that.
I don't want to be splitting hairs here, but technically speaking, Adam conceded on air. He actually congratulated me on a championship. So we're gonna help him. We're gonna let him host next week. But he did concede on air. I just want that to be known.
There was no such concession. I was just bracing for the worst, but expecting the best. We never say die. You got to play to those triple zeros. I will say, just being a little reflective, I really did not want to get into many fantasy leagues this year. The Monday Night Call League was the 4th league I was asked to join, and obviously could not say no. And, just one thing led to another. Just have a couple of good days, string together a good week, and, it's a fantasy championship. But more importantly than bringing home the gold is I get to host on my favorite Monday night fan cred show of all time. So it's Monday Night Call with Yoni and Paul.
Hey, we're proud to have you.
I'm excited for it. Question for you, gentlemen. This year, the NFL playoffs is a little different because only one team in each conference has a bye in every 2. But every year of the 4 top teams, the 2 in each conference, one of them always seems to poop down their leg as soon as they come off of their bye week. And for some of them, it's the first meaningful game in 2 or 3, even 4 weeks. So we have the Packers, the Saints, the Chiefs, and the Bills. Which one of those teams is most likely to just, crap the bed as soon as they play their game against a much lower seeded team?
I think the Bills and Saints, I don't think either of those games are going to go to the underdogs. I think both those games are kind of locked up. I could see maybe the Ravens taking over in the AFC and beating the Chiefs. If the Ravens get out of the wild card, I believe they'd be the next opponent if the Colts lose. So I would say it's probably the Chiefs would be the most likely to shit the bed after winning the Super Bowl last year. So that'd be my guess. Yoni?
I disagree. I think the Chiefs are really strong. I think there's a reason they're just the clear, far ahead favorite to win the Super Bowl. I mean, we were having a similar conversation last year with the Baltimore Ravens, but I think the Chiefs are built different. I think Patrick Mahomes is built different. And if I had to pick a team, it'd be the New Orleans Saints. I'm not sure they're going to sneak out of their game this week. It would just, we were talking, pre-production. It'd be a very Saints thing to do to once again blow this again. Murmurings of Drew Brees moving on next season either to another team or even out of football. They're going to have a lot of key pieces coming off the COVID list. Watch out for the Saints to get an early exit.
Yeah, I would actually agree. I think the Saints have won all their division championships, and Sean Payton has his ring, but other than that, has done not very much with very talented teams, and I wouldn't be surprised if they're a team that loses. Okay, well, a few weeks ago, I promised you a boldest of bold predictions, and I'm going to deliver the first award from our sponsor. It's Natural Light. It's Nectar of the Gods for over 3,000 years. Still available in stores. It's pandemic proof. We're patenting that. It's pandemic proof. It's never going away. Natural Light, Nectar of the Gods. And I have taken the liberty of really just foretelling and communicating to you the next 5 Super Bowl matchups and their winners.
Whoa!
Can I turn my screen around, or I have to just hold it in front of me?
You can turn your screen around if you want.
I'm not asking for your permission. I'm more like, how can I do
Oh,
that?
like in the app? I'm not sure. You might have to physically turn your phone around if you have a visual.
Okay, well, we're just going to go like this. Hopefully it's not backwards.
No, it's not backwards.
Okay, so we'll start at the bottom. We have the Chiefs beating the Packers. I know it's boring, but I don't see anyone beating the Chiefs. I don't see anyone beating the Packers. Chiefs going to win their second Super Bowl in a row. Next year, Tom Brady comes back with a vengeance, beats the Baltimore Ravens, who have a similar 2019 season. Lamar Jackson, that offense on a roll. John Harbaugh gets that defense going. Week after that, Chiefs are going to win the Super Bowl again. They're going to beat the Seahawks. Russell Wilson, Pete Carroll, going to just go all in, do everything they can to win that last Super Bowl with that quarterback-coach combo. They're going to come up short again to the Chiefs, who will have Patrick Mahomes and maybe a few other key pieces. And then I have the 49ers making a comeback. I think Kyle Shanahan will get that team together. They have a young defense that's pulling it together. And I think the Patriots, I just think, they're just going to stick around. They're going to put together a 2018-esque season. Sorry, I'm trying to get this. They're going to put together a 2018-esque season. They're going to beat the Patriots. And then, you ready for this? Super Bowl 60. Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals are going to beat the Saints. The Saints still have a talented roster despite moving on from Drew Brees. Sean Payton's going to hold it together in that very questionable division. And Joe Burrow is going to lead the Cincinnati team to the promised land, a city that has not won a championship since the 1940s, I believe, with Paul Brown, the first Paul Brown at the helm. So there you have it. It's the bold prediction. Don't forget where you heard it first. It's the bold prediction by Natural Light.
If any of those is correct, I guess besides the first one, that will be incredible. I have a question with the Bucs. Is the Bucs that's with Tom Brady, correct? Next year?
Yeah, I think they figured out. I think they'll hold on to a lot of their pieces, and yeah, I don't know. I've watched football long enough. If I've learned one thing, it's never count out number 12. Never count out number 12. I think they come back with vengeance this year. It would hurt me. I really don't want to see that, but I just think it could happen.
Yeah.
We will see. We will see. Adam, thanks so much for coming on the fan line. We appreciate the bold
Looking forward to
prediction.
being on the other side with you guys next week.
Most definitely. Looking forward to it. Thanks so much.
Shabbat shalom.
It's Monday, but good try.
Good enough for me. Also, the Patriots, I don't know what your take is on this, Yoni. Do you think in 4 years you guys are going to have a young, hot rookie quarterback, or you think you're going to keep running back the free agents?
I don't know. It's a good question. I think, not knowing too much about quarterback draft classes to be, that this quarterback draft class is pretty much as good as any over the last few years, right? Joe Burrow is really quite a prospect to have and for him to come in the league, but it was really far and away him and then everyone else in terms of quarterbacks. This year for quarterback class, there are a couple guys there at the top, really 3 or 4 guys that we could see going in the first round of quarterback, which we've not seen a lot of NFL drafts. The biggest thing I have is with the Bucs. I really think if the Bucs don't win the Super Bowl this year, there are going to be a lot of unhappy people in Tampa Bay, people that might want to jump ship early, coaches and players alike. It'll be tough for them to really, from a salary cap perspective and a morale perspective, keep that band together. The Cincinnati Bengals is definitely a bold prediction. We'll see about that if Joe Burrow can get them together. Matan is next on the fan line. His Giants are sitting at home watching, just like more than half the teams in the NFL. It doesn't taste so good, but the mortal lock hit, so it's not all bad in Matan land. Hopefully get him on. There he is. Matan, how's it going?
How we doing, boys?
Doing well.
Now, I want to be the first to congratulate Yoni on the fantasy football win. I heard Adam's concession. I was watching last week. That happened. I don't know about Adam, but I honor his word. I guess his word doesn't mean anything here. That's what I'm learning. But yeah, the mortal lock hit. I had a rough time last night, I'll be honest. It was a long night. It was a long night here in the Rosenfeld household. We weren't happy, but then I came to the realization I don't want to be a losing team in the playoffs, you know? It's not really a good look. I don't want to represent a bad division. You know, when I want my team to go to the playoffs, I want it to be on their own merit, not on some ridiculous rules by the NFL. So I'm happy we're not in. With that said, I'd like to go back, and I want to talk about accountability on this show because I believe that there's a serious lack of accountability. Okay, Adam Offit has been here week in, week out, spewing these ridiculous takes, and nobody ever says a word. Now, I have been giving you guys takes that over and over again have become true. I said, I think like week 3 that Aaron Rodgers was going to win the MVP. Okay, that happened.
Absolutely.
I'm not going to jinx it. There's a couple dollars riding on it. That could be a very good bet for me. But that's looking like it's going to happen, okay? Especially after last week, at least the regular season, he's the MVP. That's it. I don't really know there's much debate. Now, I also said Alex Smith was going to lead Washington to the promised land. I said if they put him in, he's going to be the best player on the team. No, top 5, I think I said. Yeah, I think I said top 5.
Right.
We'd have to go back. But, you know, that's neither here nor there. That take became true also. So I don't know if it's a representation on natural light that all these bold takes have not become true or what. But I support local businesses, and all of my takes have come true. So sorry, I just had to vent. I just had to make myself known.
Quick response to that. I think Adam, he always prefaces that they're bold takes, right? I think you go for the accuracy and Adam goes for the shock value. And I think no one is debating who's right more of the time. One of Adam's takes that does kind of ring in the front of my head that was right. A few weeks ago, he projected that Rob Gronkowski would finish out the season very strong. And I think he would have like 7 or more touchdowns. Again, at
the time it was bold. He was getting like 1 catch per game, and then he got a touchdown.
In that. Obviously, Gronk isn't going to play hard during the regular season. The guy was living in Florida, and his body like broken. Essentially, to me, the only thing that he was doing during regular season was just making sure he didn't rust, and then getting ready for the playoffs, which I think I also said during the show a couple weeks back.
Well, we'll leave hearsay to the diehard viewers of Monday Night Call who want to go back and watch the tape. I want to quickly move on to your New York Giants, especially what Joe Judge said in his post-game press conference, talking about integrity of the game, referencing the Eagles pulling Jalen Hurts, putting in Nate Sudfeld. Some would say if you really want to talk about, you know, really honoring the game, maybe you should have won more football games, then you wouldn't be in this conundrum where you fall in that line.
Okay, so I think there's a couple of things to preface this. I think the whole narrative that like they wanted to see what they had in Sudfeld, I don't believe that at all. They've had him since 2017. They've seen him in every practice. They've seen him in every game. He was injured for I think a year, so I'll give them that. But you know what you had because you drafted Jalen Hurts. So clearly Sudfeld wasn't going to be your long-term backup. So I think I heard Aikman or whoever was commentating say that they knew what they had. Also, I'm curious if it does more good for Doug Peterson to get that 3 picks earlier than whatever harm that caused to the locker room, because players don't go into it giving a shit about the organization's draft picks. They go in trying to win. They want to put the best things on tape possible. They don't care about the draft picks. So I've got to think, if I'm Doug Peterson, the coach is supposed to be the voice and the representative for the players. He didn't really do a good job. Now, I also think, and this is where I kind of I don't think this is what Joe Judge was saying, but I think this is where I kind of disagree with the narrative that's being thrown out by a lot of Giants fans. We didn't deserve to be in the playoffs. We're a 6-10 team. If we were going to be in the playoffs, we would have been 7-9.
Sure.
So you can't be mad at anyone else except for themselves. Now, I will also say this is a team that didn't think they were going to be in contention this year. Saquon Barkley was out the entire year. Daniel Jones wasn't healthy. I think this back last couple of games. I don't think he was healthy this week. I don't think he was healthy the week before that. Golden Tate was out. Injuries happen. This team didn't deserve to be in the playoffs. So,
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree more. I do agree with one thing you're saying, that I don't know how much good this does for the Eagles to get the extra pick, especially when it's looking like the Eagles are going to run with Jalen Hurts. I think it really would have been a good thing to get a rookie quarterback self-confidence boosted going into his second year. So I think that was a mistake just on that end. I think it's disrespectful to Jalen Hurts.
I don't think that Hurts is their long-term plan at all.
Really interesting. Okay, I do. I think they're trying to get rid of Carson Wentz at this point after what I've seen the last few weeks with Jalen Hurts, who's looked generally okay. Who do you think?
I think they're cautiously optimistic that Jalen Hurts could be the guy. I wouldn't say they have a lot of chips riding on him taking over the franchise from Wentz, but I would say if you were to take a snapshot in time where we are now and to maybe predict where the Eagles could be in the short-term future, 2-3 years down the road, it's more likely than not that Jalen Hurts will be the starting quarterback. We're not talking about Joe Burrow is the guy for Cincinnati, like he's going to be the one to bring him out, or whoever drafts Trevor Lawrence or whatever. Like, this is like a step below that.
Yeah, I mean, I guess they're playing with house money because they drafted him, I think, with him being a backup in mind and a Taysom Hill type figure. So it's not like they already have gotten more to Jalen Hurts than they thought they would get. But I don't think that 2 years down the line, I don't think he'll be starting at quarterback.
No, I don't think so either. I think before we get to your mortal lock, the underlying thing we have to remember is coming into week 17, even before in week 16, there are questions. Is Doug Peterson going to get fired? This is a really steep drop off from after they won the Super Bowl. But then coming into week 17, Doug Peterson plans to come back in 2021. The ownership is behind him. He's going to come back. So now all of a sudden it's like, oh, I'm not playing for my job anymore. I'm actually going to get to use this draft pick if we lose this game and draft higher. That's actually going to be my draft pick who I get to draft. Now I actually have an incentive to lose. If coming into week 17, I don't know if we're going to keep him. He might get fired. Is he going to want to leave? Then all of a sudden, the Eagles are playing to win. They're playing for Doug Peterson. That was not the narrative coming in. Doug Peterson had all the incentive in the world to take that higher draft pick, and that is a situation that I think is being underplayed when analyzing this game.
I agree. And I want to kind of give my last final thoughts on the New York Giants. I think they overperformed what was supposed to be, I think, a bad season. So I'm generally happy because I think a lot of things I personally, as a Giants fan, saw a lot of glimpses of Daniel Jones being a quarterback that we can build around. I saw our wide receiver core is finished. Our offensive line is starting to play good football. Saquon Barkley is going to come back next year. The defense showed a lot of glimmers of being a good defensive team. Leonard Williams looked good. James Bradbury looked good. Logan Ryan is locked up for a while. I think that there's a lot of pieces that I'm excited about that I think they can compete in the NFC East. Obviously, that's not, maybe when Dak comes back, it'll be a good division again. But I think that this is a team I'm excited about. So
sure,
that's my final.
Great. Let's get to the mortal lock. It's playoffs, so we're doubling down. If I'm correct.
Yeah, so we're double down. I've got a couple picks. The mortal lock hit on an underdog, which means that we hit on the line, and we sprinkled on the money line as well. So we're going. I told Yoni we need to go into the playoffs with some momentum. I didn't want to get hot too early. I don't think that happened. So I've got a couple picks for you guys.
Okay.
Tampa Bay -8. Baltimore -3.5. And my favorite, Browns +4.5 and the money line +190. Quick little snippet on the Browns Browns-Steelers game. Last 5 games, Baker's QB rating 106.6, Big Ben 80.3. I think Baker's going to outplay him. I think Myles Garrett is going to give Big Ben hell. I think the run game is going to excel for the Browns, whereas the run game for the Steelers will be poo-poo as it has been for a long time.
I could not disagree more with 2 of your mortal locks. Buccaneers, I do not think that's going to be a blowout. I think Tom Brady struggles with a good watch with Chase Young actually is going to perform well. I still think the Bucs come out, but I think Tom Brady will struggle. And I think the Browns look terrible against the Steelers last week in a game that should have been a blowout with Steelers not playing like 6 of their players.
Paul, Washington, they couldn't beat the Eagles. They hardly were able to scoot by the Eagles. They looked.
I agree. And Tom Brady is definitely pumping towards the end of the year, but there has been some flaws in that offense, and it comes against teams with good pass rushes. We'll see. I don't think it's a +8.
Matan, your mortal locks.
Also Bitcoin.
Matan, your mortal locks are officially on notice with Tampa Bay -8, although I also like the pick. Thanks so much for coming on.
I don't know. I think the Washington football team is a tougher out than people are giving them. I get it. It's the NFC East, and they quite honestly stink. But we saw it with the Seahawks with the beast mode run a few years back. I think Washington has a shot in this game.
I think they have a shot too, and I think the one thing that doesn't play into their advantage, usually you'd look at this game from afar and you'd see, hey, South Florida team coming up to Washington in January, going to be cold, but the quarterbacks played in some cold weather games. Number 12's played in some snowy games for Tampa Bay. But we got Aryeh, big Washington football team fan, coming on. He's coming on. It's been a couple weeks since we've seen. We're glad to have him back. We actually haven't even talked to Aryeh since the Dwayne Haskins fiasco. The turned number 6 overall pick, starting quarterback, captain, not captain, strip club in a pandemic, is now unemployed before we even get to the football team in the playoffs. Dwayne Haskins, the guy who is the heir apparent future for Washington and the greater DMV area, is gone. Your initial thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, look, am I sad about the situation? Yes. Am I sad that Dwayne Haskins is gone at this point? Not particularly. I feel for the kid. I feel for I don't know. Part of it is just the jobs that, I have been in. And, Yoni, as you know well, I have an extraordinary amount of sympathy for stupid kids doing stupid shit.
Of course.
That being said, look, it's one of those, there's 2 reasons you make someone a captain. You make them because they've earned it, or you make it because you want them to. Sometimes you do the second one, and sometimes it doesn't work. And the hardest thing people do is struggle to cut bait after that happens. I have some hunches, not based on anything, but that some of this was a little bit more Ron Rivera power play, seeing if he could do it, than it was the necessity of needing to cut your quarterback who's on a cheap deal, who might have some trade value. I don't really care. I'm okay with that. Obviously, I think I am comfortable saying at this point that Dwayne Haskins is not the future. And that my dreams of him and Scary Terry, combining the way they did at Ohio State, are dead and gone. I'm okay with that. I'm down for Alex Smith. I'm 100% convinced we're winning, by the way. I'm pretty sure, tell me, y'all might have seen the statistic already, but I've been tracking this for a while. No matter who won the NFC East was going to win the wild card game. It's just inevitable. That's how football works. I'm pretty sure that teams that division winners sub 500 are 4-1 on wild card weekend. I think that's a real thing. I hope someone can confirm that.
Yeah, the last one was the Seahawks were 7-9.
Seahawks. It was the Beast Quake. That was what we had. That was the one that gave that one of the greatest moments. You just you can't lose when you're 7-9 going through a playoff game. It's just inevitable. There's nothing that could happen other than you winning that game frustratingly, because football is an objectively stupid game. That's all it is.
I'm really looking forward to the Washington football team on Saturday night, really taking it to the Bucs. I think it's possible, Aryeh. I'm on your side here.
Right? Look, here's all I'm saying. If there's one thing we know, and look, there's no you're not going to find any math. You're not going to find any analytics. You're not going to find any eye test that's going to say Washington is a good enough football team. From that part, you're not going to be able to say, yes, they're going to beat the Buccaneers because they should. They should lose by 30. They're really bad. They might be the worst playoff team ever. It's my favorite part of this. once the Giants won, I was actually super happy because I was like, all right, either Washington's going to win and be in the playoffs, or we're going to have the first 6-10 playoff team of all time. It's going to be a win-win for me. I am all about the narrative over everything.
I do want to. Sure, go for it.
I think is actually relevant here, if we're really talking about this football game seriously on Saturday, is the fact that Tom Brady, if he's ever had any issues, as you both well know, it's when he faces a ton of pressure from a strong front seven that's able to get to the quarterback. If there's anyone that can do it, like, this team is ready. Chase Young is going to be one of the better ends that Brady has faced this year. And I think, look, there's a lot of questions that Buccaneers line has been much better than it was, frankly, even expected to me. What's his name? Tristan Walker. I forget his name. I mean, he's been awesome. Yeah. The rest of that line has frankly been better than I thought they would be. And definitely through the air, but also on the ground. I mean, Rojo's, not bad, but I do think there is some exceptional work that the line and Arians have been doing to scheme him. But like, this matchup, right? If you were to design a matchup where one team was way better than the other, this wouldn't be the worst matchup for the worst team.
Yeah, I think the Buccaneers' bigger issue, I believe, is if Mike Evans doesn't play. It's not really about the front seven as much, and I think that will be compounded if Mike Evans doesn't play. That's going to be a bigger issue. Yeah, Antonio Brown had a nice day, and he got his reception bonus, but not having Mike Evans, I think that is going to be the thing that kills the Buccaneers if they lose this game.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the thing that makes me wonder is the Buccaneers have found their role on offense, especially in the last few games. I think they've scored plus 30 in the past 5, if I'm correct. So they're doing really well. But yeah, I agree with you, Ari. Like, Chase Young looked hot against the Eagles. I think he's going to look really good again against Tom Brady.
I agree. I would say one thing, though. I actually don't think I totally agree with you about the Mike Evans piece. And the reason is I actually don't think Antonio Brown is the key here. This might be heretical at this point. I know this is like get some traction in the fantasy community, which is like up its own butt about its own stuff. But like, Chris Godwin genuinely might be the best rider. I don't think he's the best receiver on Tampa Bay. I think he plays a role that's more conducive to production, and he's got that big slot piece, and obviously Evans attracts a ton of defensive attention. I mean, Evans is indisputable. I mean, the guy's amazing. Chris Godwin is a wide receiver 1 in the NFL. Like, I truly think he's that good. And so we're not, like, between the two of them, between Gronk, between Jones, I get it. I get that Mike Evans is impressive. I think the Bucs have more than enough to beat the Washington secondary, which is the weakness of this defense. And so I'm less concerned about that. I am a bit concerned that Washington has struggled so much so they typically struggle against Russian quarterbacks, partially because the linebacking crew doesn't really have a traditional roaming linebacker who can play as a spy. And I think the fact that, while we don't really think of Brady as a rushing mobile quarterback, let's throw back to that time where after Dwayne Haskins was drafted, Stephen A. Smith was like, wow, look at this incredible mobile quarterback. And everyone's like, why are you racially coding him?
Yeah, really.
Yeah, long time ago. Good moment. But unrelated to that, I actually think Tampa Bay throws the ball a lot in terms of its quick screen game and its short slants and operates a lot around the middle of the field. So I'm a little bit worried from that perspective. Sure. That being said, I do think it's exciting. I've watched a lot of Tampa Bay this year. I happen to have 5 of their players rostered in the Dynasty League. So I've spent a lot of time, which, by the way, I won 3rd place by 0.38.
Wow.
NBA League Pass immediately, enjoying some Hawks Knicks. Amazing.
Wow.
I will, if I can say one other thing, sure. and I want to own this, and I have, it's been enjoyable to watch the miserableness of Giants fans. I truly hope Ethan and Matan at minimum can hear me when I say that. Like, it is lovely to watch them cry and moan. It did feel icky Sunday night. It felt gross when Sudfeld came in. It wasn't fun. I'm not making a judgment on, I was happy with this win, or I would have rather not, whatever. Like, that's all dumb. We're going to the playoffs, whatever. It's all shenanigans anyway. We're 7-9. But they deserve, no one in the NFC can say they were cheated out of anything. That being said, it did feel gross watching that game. It felt sad. I think the tanking whining is a little bit overboard. I'm an NBA fan. I know what tanking is. This isn't it. Tanking is like OKC against Orlando in May. Like, that's what tanking is. This is like just two teams playing like shit that are really bad, and like you can see it. But I do think it was a sad moment and a sad way for the NFL to end their season on a game that I believe was flexed into prime time. And like, it was ugly and it didn't feel good.
I agree. It's sad for the NFL. I mean, another team that doesn't get a lot of flack for doing this is the Jacksonville Jaguars. They pulled out their Gardner Minshew, who's clearly the better quarterback, to play their backups, and they're just trying to get the number one pick, and everyone's like, that's a good idea, though. So I think the Jets should have been tanking. The Jacksonville Jaguars should be tanking. The Eagles are out of it. Why do they give a shit about the Giants? So, in my opinion, it honestly makes sense, and I think they're getting too much flack as well.
I agree. The tank whining, I understand, but what really grinds my gears is the not making the playoffs whining. Like, if you want to whine about not making the playoffs, like, win more football games. That's what gets me.
More than 6 games. I agree wholeheartedly. I agree with both of you. I think it's absolutely true. I think teams tank. I think that's what it is. I think it's fine. Like I said, I can't say that it didn't feel bad, right, in this game where it was this relatively close game between two bad teams the entire way. And I would have liked to have beaten Jalen Hurts. That's the part that I'm a little bit sad about. That being said, right, like, I agree with you both. Absolutely. Similarly, on that same note, I just want, because I've missed the past couple weeks, which is sad. Paul, oh my God. I felt for you. I like as the Jets, the first win ended, I felt for you. And then as the second one ended, I couldn't think about you because I was thinking about how awful that must have felt at that moment.
It is. So I'll catch you up. Those 2 weeks, I was on suicide watch for all 14 days. It was depressing. Every Jets YouTuber I watched was screaming at the television. But recently, I have to say, it's positive in Jets land. Justin Fields looked great against Trevor Lawrence in the college football playoffs. So I'm looking forward to seeing Justin Fields again against Alabama. If he lights it up, hell, I'm happy to have Justin Fields as my quarterback.
You're ready to move on from Darnold? You're ready to say that, like, this isn't just Gase world?
Yeah. No, I think, if a coach comes in and a coach wants Darnold, I'm backing that. I think it could be fine if we trade down. But in reality, I think the best decision is to move on, restart, get a new rookie contract, and rebuild Joe Douglas.
Give yourself your 4-year window. The classic NFL rookie. By the way, that shit needs to be fixed. But, like, there's no better way to win than to, like, randomly hit on a quarterback. So, like,
for real.
Yeah. All right. Thanks so much for coming on. We appreciate it. We thank you for coming in and catching us up. We look forward, hopefully, next week, talking about the Washington football team in the divisional round.
It's not hope. It's literally inevitable. This is how the NFL works. They are 100% winning.
100% winning. Once again, if you didn't hear it from Matan, Buccaneers are -8 in the game. That's the biggest spread on Wild Card Weekend. We'll see what happens. All right, thanks so much for coming on the line.
Thanks, y'all.
Yoni, could you imagine if the Washington football team beats the Bucs, going off of what you said, where there might be an explosive front office in the Buccaneers if they go to the Super Bowl? If they lose to the Washington football team, that could be bad. That could be really
people
nasty.
might get fired. Expectations were that high. I can't remember there were expectations that high for a team coming in to the regular season out of such an explosive offseason. Expectations were that high that people could get cut or fired after one underperforming season. It could happen if they lose that game.
Yes, absolutely. With that, we got Lev coming on the fan line. Lev maybe talking about Pats Jets.
Maybe.
I feel like it's
Still here, baby. We're still here. Like Adam said, Super Bowl 59. We're back. Super Bowl 59.
We still believe. All right. So a couple interesting things this week. So first, do you think Adam Gase is going to be the next quarterback's coach of the New England Patriots?
Oh my God. Yeah. Okay. If this happens, I think that's just a big fuck you to the Jets. Like, I honestly really want it to happen because I think Adam Gase is dog shit, and I think he will make the Patriots worse. But that being said, I don't think Adam Gase should be within 100 yards of the football field.
What do you think, Yoni?
No, I don't think he'll be the next quarterback's coach. I don't think that makes the Patriots any better. We don't need to help bring someone in from the Jets organization to help figure him out because we had a tough time. And, we have Josh McDaniels. We've operated without a quarterback's coach before and made it work. So I don't think he'll be a quarterback's coach anywhere. Again, I've said this on a couple shows before. He'll take a coordinator job. He'll be an offensive coordinator. He'll get as far away from the AFC East as possible. And, try to rebuild his reputation.
He ruined Ryan Tannehill. Ryan Tannehill looks great. Sam Darnold looked awesome before Adam Gase came in. Adam Gase ruined
awesome.
They were saying the Jets that offseason were the best head coaching position. Mike McCarthy really wanted to work with Sam Darnold. I mean, it wasn't terrible like he is now. Not the 32nd quarterback in the NFL.
Sure.
But I will say that I don't even think Adam Gase can get an offensive coordinator position in the NFL after this year. Dude sucks. Fuck that guy.
All right, so second question is Cam Newton maybe unfortunately had a decent game against the Jets week 17. Is he going to be able to fight for the starting role in New England next year, or is he going to be gone?
I mean, Schefter says he's probably going to be gone. Which, by the way, so weird. Not that Schefter tweeted it, but it was at 11:56 before the game. Why tweet that an hour before? I don't know. I get that you want to be first, but timing. I don't know. Yeah, I think he'll be gone. Or if he stays, it'll be another 1-year deal for low money. It'll be look, we like you. We've heard it. If you watch the broadcast and listen to Patriot Sports Talk Radio and read the papers, the locker room loves him. The coaches love him. He's such a great teammate. And on that merit, he might be able to find his way back into the building come April, May, June. That being said, it's going to be in a very low contract. He's going to have to compete against someone else for the starting job, whether it be someone they bring in through the draft or free agency. So, he wants to be in New England, and I think he knows because he got on some people's good side, it's his best way to kind of get a starting job again and win it. As I was watching the game with superfan and future co-host Adam Moffat, one thing he said is the one victory, or I guess the one positive in bringing Cam back, and let's see if you agree or disagree with this, the one positive in bringing Cam back, he can't possibly be this bad again. There really is nowhere to go but up.
No.
Yeah, you'd think that.
Quarterback, he can definitely get worse. I think Cam Newton is going to be a backup for some running quarterback in the NFL, like a Lamar Jackson, kind of playing the RG3 role. I think that's where Cam is for the rest of his career, a career backup.
Yeah, it might be. I don't know who we have faith in behind Cam is the problem. I don't see Belichick starting a rookie quarterback, and I don't see him starting Jared Stidham. So we're going to have to go shopping somewhere else. What do you think?
I would start. Why wouldn't you start a rookie quarterback? Cam Newton threw 5 touchdowns through week 16. If you want a person to throw 5 touchdowns through week 16, you can get a rookie quarterback to do that for you.
I don't know. I don't know if Belichick has the patience for a rookie quarterback.
Yeah, I'm more agree with you, Ari. I actually don't think Bill Belichick is going to go the rookie quarterback route, especially since at 7-9, you're not in the top, probably getting the top 3 prospects from this draft class. I think they're going to roll with a Dak Prescott maybe, or I think that's honestly the best fit would be Dak Prescott. But
how do you think we get Dak?
I guess with that, I think the Cowboys are going to retain Dak. I'm trying to think of anyone else. Matt Ryan's probably still going to stay with the Cowboys.
Ryan's out there. Matt Stafford's out there. I don't think the Patriots will sign a guy as old as Drew Brees, but I don't know if Dak Prescott wants to leave. He saw how bad the NFC East is, so he thinks it's a division where he can stay and win. The Patriots are top 4 in the league in cap room, so it's possible, especially if you definitely cut Cam, then the cap room is there. The problem is, and we've been he's seeing some murmuring in the comments, if you bring in a guy like Dak Prescott, your wide receiver room is not going to get that much better, right? You're going to have a 38-year-old Julian Edelman. You're still kind of praying to God, hoping N'Keal Harry lives up to his first-round status. And then you're kind of working with 2 rookie tight ends in Demir Bird and Jacoby Myers. So you bring in a good quarterback. Or, again, also seeing in the comments, Jonah Butler says, Lev, how would you feel about the Patriots bringing in a guy like Jacoby Brissett, but then also going into free agency and bringing in a guy like A.J. Green?
Well, I think that Jacoby Brissett is decent. I don't think he's going to be much better than Cam in terms of touchdown passes. I mean, we could turn into a run-pass option team. I thought that's what we were going to do this year. Obviously, it wasn't successful. I think our key, and if you look at during the game, they made a good point. Some of our most successful years in offense have been when a tight end of ours has caught more than 10 touchdowns and had a certain number of yards, whether that be Gronk, Hernandez back in the day, Ben Watson. I think the most important position for the Patriots and our offensive scheme is a tight end who will take at least 1 to 2 guys off of our receivers, because I don't think we have a single receiver on our roster who can beat double coverage.
And so, wait, do you think that the tight end is currently on your roster, or are you looking to get another one?
Well, I was gonna. This was my final question, which is Devin Asiasi had his first catch and his first touchdown catch this week. Do you think that's good signs? Did you see any life from him this week, or do you think he's not going to be it?
I don't know. I mean, looking at the body types, Devin Asiasi is definitely like the wide receiver type guy, and Dalton Keene is like he's just going to be a good run blocker and be a decent pass blocker. You can even tell by the numbers Bill gave him, kind of tipping it away. Yeah, I think it's possible, and I think tight ends are always really undervalued in free agency. And especially for a team like New England that has a track record with really making great tight ends. So, maybe there's a guy who goes into free agency for not that much money and the Patriots turn him into a good player. And you've seen a lot of tight ends shift around, right? Austin Hooper, Hayden Hurst, they're playing on new teams this year. They're playing well. The Patriots brought in Dwayne Allen, and he didn't do much in the past game, but he's one of the best blocking tight ends the Patriots have seen in the past decade. Yeah, I mean, there might be a guy out there for $2, $3, $4 million a year that they come in and, automatically he's a top 5 tight end. I'm not sure.
I love Matana.
Be interesting to see
Jimmy G coming home. I wanted to ask both of you guys that.
I wouldn't mind Jimmy G coming home. I think he could. I mean, obviously, the only real game we saw of him was against the Dolphins. What was that? 3 years ago now, or 4 years ago now. He looked really good. I mean, obviously, we had a much better offense back then. Gronk was playing. Edelman was 4 years younger. I don't know who we had on the team back then. Yoni probably remembers. But we had a much better team. Amendola was there. So, obviously, he doesn't have that next year. No matter who we get, Damiere Byrd and Jacoby Myers are not going to be Julian Edelman and Danny Amendola and Rob Gronkowski of 4 years ago. But I think Garoppolo throws more than 20 touchdowns in a season.
Yeah. I mean, I think with Garoppolo, it's a question of whether or not he can stay healthy and not as much a talent question, right? You bring in a guy like Jacoby Brissett, his durability and how young he is, no question he'll be able to play 16 games unless something, catastrophic happens. Jimmy Garoppolo, that's something I could see Bill Belichick getting really pissed with. Right, Jimmy Garoppolo playing really well. The Patriots start off the season 6-2. It's like, I kind of got this thing with my knee. I don't know if I'm going to play. I don't know if I can play 100%. Yeah. Maybe if I don't play this week, I'll be better next week. And it's like, you know what? Forget this. I'd rather just have a quarterback that can play 16 games. Maton's also throwing out the name Tyrod Taylor, which is a pretty lateral step from Cam Newton, in my opinion.
Yeah, I would.
Yeah, I'm not sure Tyrod's going to be much better.
Also, you'd have to give up some draft capital to get Jimmy G on top of what you were saying.
And take on his $120 million contract.
I think it's not that bad anymore. I think because he's making. I just looked up his contract, $24 million a year over the next 2 years, which is like in the quarterback.
This is how much we paid Cam Newton.
Right, $1 million. Yeah, that's true. But Cam Newton also got you a touchdown for $200,000, I guess, each up until week. I got like 8. Yeah, you got a lot of touchdowns.
It was incentive laden. He led the league in quarterback rushing touchdowns. He had his moments, especially against the Jets. Lev, thanks for coming on the fan line, talking Pat's future. We appreciate it.
Yeah, I don't know. The Patriot situation confuses me a lot, honestly. There's a lot of talk about the Jets and what we're going to do in the offseason. It's going to be a really fun offseason for both of us, Yoni.
Yeah. 100%. The 13-3 Buffalo Bills, going to be tough to catch up to them.
Yeah, absolutely. Colin Cowherd has to take that this is the Super Bowl team. The Bills are undoubtedly better than the Chiefs, is what he says. Yeah. I don't agree. But
I mean, to think all it took was Stephon Diggs to elevate this team. That's all it took. Zach Moss is okay. No. Josh Allen's better, but they had Josh Allen. I'm talking about pieces they needed to add. Right? Okay, they added Josh Norman, who's kind of washed up, and they drafted really well. So, Zach Moss is average, and Devin Singletary's average, and Dawson Knox is fine, and Isaiah McKenzie is fine, and their offensive line is good. Ed Oliver was a really good draft pick for them. Josh, like as I said, Josh Norman's kind of washed up, but they add Stephon Diggs, first in the league in catches and yards. Is that good?
That's good. Well, yeah, and I think we could talk about one game really quick. Going off that, we got Bills Colts first game on Saturday of the wild card weekend. I'm assuming you got Bills then.
Yeah, I got Bills. Yeah, I think I think it looks like we got Jonah coming in on the fan line, and then after that, we're gonna do our wild card week game predictions that we've been preparing. Jonah, also hopefully gonna talk Pats. See you in the comments with the quarterback suggestions. Hoping you'll come on and defend your takes. Jonah, thanks so much for being with us tonight.
Yeah, we had a great season. Just an average year.
Still here, baby.
Yeah, still here. I actually want to talk a little bit about kind of something not a lot of people mentioned is about like all the different coaching changes.
Yeah,
I would
definitely.
like to know like who you think, which job you think is the most like appealing. Because I feel like I've been reading a lot about Jacksonville with Trevor Lawrence, but I also wonder if LA is up there now because I just feel like Herbert, if he gets the coach with him, also Los Angeles, obviously, great weather, but I just feel
Jacksonville, great weather. Kind of a swamp. Continue.
Yeah, no, I was just saying like LA is kind of like also like a bigger market. Like I just feel like Herbert, if he gets the right coach, I think he could be what Josh Allen is right now.
100%. And that defense, when healthy, right? This is now the second time in a row that Derwin James, they're going to be like a dude at safety. Second year in a row, he sits out the whole season. Bosa missed some games for the Chargers. Melvin Ingram's on a long-term deal. If everyone there is healthy and together, they brought in Chris Harris this offseason. That defense is legit. They got some great wide receivers. Again, you just need a much, much better game manager in there to coach that team. I think at this point, the Los Angeles job is a better take than the Jacksonville job. Yeah, you might get a more generationally talented quarterback. At this point, at this certain snapshot in time, I'd rather have Justin Herbert than Trevor Lawrence. We'll see if that changes based on how Trevor Lawrence plays. But the Chargers are a much more put-together team than the Jacksonville. You're talking about the Jacksonville Jaguars. Congrats. You have the number 1 overall pick. We talked about it on the show before. That team needs a total and complete rebuild. As far as I'm concerned, the only guys on that entire roster worth keeping are Miles Jack, their middle linebacker, James Robinson, and running back. And I honestly begrudgingly throw in DJ Chark, who had a very down year this year. You know, they didn't really have quarterback consistency. I think that you have a lot more work to do with the Jacksonville Jaguars than the LA Chargers, and having that number 1 overall pick, potentially getting Trevor Lawrence, does not do it for me for that to be a more enticing job. I think you hit the nail on the head. The Chargers are the job to get.
See, but I almost disagree. So I think it depends on what type of coach you feel you are. If you feel like you are a leader of men and someone that is already that can come in and take an established franchise somewhere better, like the Chargers, who have a lot of pieces in place, I think that's where you'd want to go. But if you really feel like I can turn this whole thing around, like I want to pick my guys, I'm more of a scouting type of head coach where I can pick and choose whoever I want. They have the most free agent money out of any team in the entire NFL. They have the out of any team, and they have the first overall pick. I think I would actually rather go to Jacksonville personally than the Los Angeles.
It's more pressure, right? It's more pressure because if you go to LA and they still think like, well, I didn't draft Justin Herbert and I didn't pay Joey Bosa and I didn't pay Melvin Ingram, not my fault. If you go to Jacksonville and you're still bad, it's like, hey man, you put this team together, it's on you.
I just thought of actually another factor, which actually might make Jacksonville more appealing. The fact that LA has to face Patrick Mahomes twice a year.
Yeah.
And it feels like AFC South, it seems like every other year, it's like a new team wins the division. So I feel like it's a little more open.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. I think Jacksonville is a better job for a head coach. I think you get your guy, and Trevor Lawrence is like you can't. There's apparently no way to go wrong with that. So,
yeah.
Go Jacksonville.
Again, I'm sorry. Because this is a good question. I'm going to disagree again. I would rather be in a division with one fantastic team and the race for second is close, as opposed to being in a division like the AFC South, where the Colts are good, the Titans are good, the Texans are going to have a rebound year, and it's going to be hard for you to get division wins down the line to secure that wild card, right? Neither the Chargers or the Jaguars are winning the division next year, right? Let's move on from there. The Chargers could come in second in that division. Like, it's possible, and they could They have the talent to sweep the Broncos and even have the talent to sweep the Raiders and possibly get a wild card spot. You're telling me the Jaguars, they have to at least split, if not sweep one of the Colts, the Titans, the Texans. That's much, much harder than you have to play with the Chiefs. And okay, then you got to go through Denver and the Raiders.
Yeah. The Raiders are on their way up as well. I think the Raiders beat the Chiefs once this year. They look good against the Chiefs. They got John. I think that's a tougher division. When you have the Chiefs beating you twice, guaranteed. I think.
Jonah, you got the wheels turning. We know you got more questions, so fire it away.
Yeah, I mean, let me finish up on the coaching, and then I'll go to my next question.
Sure.
I don't know if you saw the great Jason Garrett is going to interview with LA, so I think that's just fascinating that a team's giving him another shot, and I think also. I think Brian Dable would be good in LA if his connection with Telesco. All right.
Yeah, maybe.
And I think like my next question is, how many teams you think that miss this playoffs, like New England, is one example, you think can rebound to being a postseason team like next year or over the next like few years?
I mean, the Dolphins for one, right? I mean, they probably should have made the playoffs this year. They could probably still make the playoffs next year. I'm going to go off of a Paul take from earlier in the season. I think Kyler Murray is still progressing. I think the Cardinals still have a lot to show, and they'll be good. I think when the Cowboys get Dak Prescott back, they'll still be competitive. And this is going to be the kind of crazier take of all that, even after seeing how mediocre they were in the second half of out. The Vikings back, maybe with Kirk Cousins, maybe without Kirk Cousins. They got a great running back. They got a guy who's probably going to win Rookie of the Year. They got some pieces on defense. That team drafts very, very well. They have some continuity head coaching position on the Vikings.
Also, like in terms of the NFC, we got the 49ers. Looked really good. Just had a bunch of games that seemed odd. They just recently beat the Cardinals. That's a good win for them. And the Panthers have looked awesome. I mean, if they can build off of what they did this year, I think that's actually a really good team moving forward. So those would be my picks for next year. Yeah. Jets, definitely not. We suck.
And as far as the Patriots, I think so. I don't know if you read my comment. So Jimmy G's contract is non-guaranteed, like in this offseason. So
yeah.
if Bill can convince him, hey, if you're willing to take a little less money than market value, hey, let's ride and see what happens.
Bill's done that with guys before. He can do it again. It's a good point.
Yeah, and
I'm concerned with the Patriots for next year. Again, bias as a Jets fan, but I think because they have like that mid-round dilemma of going 7-9 and not having one of the top draft picks, I don't know how much they can improve this year. They are having two players come back from the COVID list. They do have a lot of money in free agency, but they really desperately need quarterback. They have a lot of missing weapons on the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah, you make a good point. Like someone like a Mac Jones or somebody. I guess my last question actually for Paul. I mean, you can answer this also. I guess my question is, who would be your ideal coach to be the next head coach of the Jets versus what do you think is actually going to happen?
Yeah, so interestingly enough, I think my favorite, you mentioned him, is Brian Dable from the Bills. I think he is really great. He was actually a coach on the Jets during Eric Mangini in 2008 or something. I think he was a quarterback's assistant coach or something like that. So he has been on the Jets before. There are some ties there. He met on the East Coast near his family. I think he's done an amazing, amazing job. And I didn't think Josh Allen was that good. He's having MVP level stats this year. So he's looking really good. He's also been with every East at some point. He's worked under Coach Dable in Alabama. I think he's just a really, really talented coordinator who's bound to get a head coaching job this year, whether it is the Chargers or the Jets. I'd like him. What I'd most think is going to happen is Arthur Smith or Eric Bieniemy. So Arthur Smith is the offensive, or he might be the running backs coach for the Titans. I think we go that way. If we go Arthur Smith, we're keeping Sam Darnold because we're trying to get like the Ryan Tannehill story going with Sam Darnold. Leave Adam Gase, go to Arthur Smith, become a better player. Eric Bieniemy is just like he's being thrown in for anyone who has an open slot because of Patrick Mahomes. I think we could definitely bring in Eric Bieniemy. That was my pick earlier.
Yeah. One more name that's being thrown because of connection with Joe Douglas is Don Martindale, because when they worked in Baltimore together, he's he would be. I think he actually. I mean, he's obviously defensive background, but he's another name that I've seen.
Yeah, there's also there's the other coach from Baltimore. I can't. God, but he's worked with a bunch of running quarterbacks with Justin Fields.
Greg Roman.
Yes. Yeah, the Greg Roman's being thrown out a lot. I think if we are going the Justin Fields route, Greg Roman might be the guy because we could really use someone to highlight all of those talents for Justin Fields. So lots and lots of names. I'm kind of happy with any of them. Word came out that Joe Douglas is leading the search, and it's not the Johnson family this time. Thank God, because that was a mess with Adam Gase. Fuck you, Peyton Manning, in so many ways. I could do a rant in my final thoughts. But yeah, I'll be happy with anything pretty much.
Jonah, we appreciate you coming on the line. Appreciate you. We talking coaches. It starts there. It's great questions. Appreciate it. We wanted to get some takes, but we got people waiting in line on the fan line. We always appreciate. We want to get to all your questions. I know we've been going kind of long tonight, but if you're on the fan line, you're still watching, hang in there. We're gonna get to you. We got, I believe it's Dan coming up next on the fan line. Appreciate all the love and the support. Those wild card predictions, we referenced them a little bit earlier in the show, but we'll get them officially in our final thoughts at the end of the show. We've talked a lot of shit about the Saints so far, so I believe Dan is here to set us straight. Thanks for coming.
I was going to say, Yoni, I appreciate your vote of confidence in the Saints.
Yeah.
Coming into this week, I was excited. I knew we were going to win the game from the get-go, and then the news came out that Drew Brees is either this season or next was done.
Also, a very untimely tweet from Adam Schefter.
Exactly. Yes,
exactly.
Right before the game, I was like, dude. But yeah, when that news came out, my heart just dropped. Because then I immediately started thinking, oh, God, what are we going to do? Are we going to stick with Taysom Hill? Are we going to go with Jameis? Or are we going to find somebody brand new? But I'm happy with the way the game went. Our defense looked really good. Marshawn Lattimore had a pick. Landon Collins, I think, had a pick. But it was on when Teddy Bridgewater got out of the game, so that didn't really matter. Fun fact, Saints swept their division for the first time in NFL history. They went 6-0, so that's pretty awesome.
Wow.
First time since realignment, so I think since 2002. But yeah, looking forward to playing the Bears. Not sure how we're gonna do, because always got to give them a shot. I'm not gonna say we're definitely gonna win like REA. But
Dan, I'm telling you, you're definitely gonna win. I love the Saints against the Bears. The Bears suck. They backed the playoffs by losing last week. I don't even think it's going to be close. That's my mortal lock.
Yeah, I would have to agree with you. I just thinking for the future. I don't see the Saints beating Green Bay and Lambeau. Whether it's snowy, whether it's not, Green Bay just doesn't lose at home. So unless Tom Brady can do something, then I think we'll be out. But I have one question about what was my question about? Oh, right. Question about the draft. Not where do you think Jamar Chase is going to end up?
Yeah, so Jamar Chase is probably the best wide receiver in this draft coming out of LSU. And for me, it's you go down the list and in that top 5 and who needs him. And we assume that the Jets and the Jags are going to go quarterback. I don't think the Bengals take him. They're still in on Henry Ruggs. I think they're going to want to keep AJ Green. They have other needs to fill. They're not going to go after him. Thinking about other teams that could be up there. The Chargers were there. I mean, they were 3-9, and they would have had a nice pairing with Keenan Allen and Jamar Chase. They won their last 4 games, so they're not around there anymore. I'm trying to think other teams that are kind of.
I got the Eagles. For sure, the team that's going to take 6. I think that's probably why they wanted to tank. They would have been at 12, so they would have been, they would have been. Oh no, they would have been at 10, picking behind Carolina at that point, and Detroit. And I think they thought that Carolina or Detroit might want to take the wide receiver there. So I actually think that's why they lost the game, was to get Jamar Chase.
Yeah. Speaking of that, like, I agree with Ari. The Eagles game was just a complete shit show at the end. Like, the Eagles, or Nate Sudfeld threw the pick, then Alex Smith threw the pick, but then the Eagles were like, no, really, we don't want the ball. And Nate Sudfeld fumbled the snap and was like, here, have the win. But another wide receiver I think that's going to be really good is Davonta Smith, clearly. Like, it'll be interesting to see where he ends up, whether it's before Jamar Chase or after.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, people are saying Davonta Smith is really the number one receiver in this class, and I think people are saying that because Jamar Chase opted out, and we're seeing Davonta Smith, and we're going to see him playing the national championship game. I think Jamar Chase is still the guy. He's still number one. Davonta Smith is a close second, and they've been switching back and forth in their tenure in college. I still think Jamar Chase is the guy. He opted out this season. We haven't seen him. I think that's part of the reason. But Davonta Smith is also a guy that could go top 10, could go to the teams you talked about, the Lions, Panthers, although Robbie Anderson played well this year.
Right. I mean, either way you're getting a like top wide receiver. So like either way you're going to be fine. My last question was similar to what Jonah was talking about with the coaches. 2 years ago, Anthony Lynn went 12-4 with the Chargers. So like what happened in these past 2 years? Was it just injuries? Because the roster didn't change.
No, he's bad. He's a bad coach. Just bad game manager. I think if you want Exhibit A, it's that game against the Chiefs. They were around midfield. The game was, I think, they could have iced the game with a 4th down and 1. They could have gone for it, and instead you punt it back to Patrick Mahomes, and Patrick Mahomes goes down and wins the game.
Right.
It's decisions like that. It's like if you have 4th and 1, midfield or even in Chiefs territory, you got to try to finish it, because if you give the ball back to Patrick Mahomes, you're going to lose. So it's coaching decisions like that. And then, when you get blown out 45-0 at home by a mediocre Patriots team, it's the preparation, it's the decision making, the talent's there. We talked about it a little earlier in the show. They got some studs on defense. Justin Herbert broke all kinds of rookie passing records this season. That on paper is better than a 7-9 team. Congrats, you won your last 4 games. You beat the Chiefs, who weren't trying. You beat some other teams who were either bad or weren't trying. This was a 3-9 football team at one point, and that's how they're going to be remembered.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I agree. Sorry. You go.
Go ahead.
No, you have a question. Yeah. We are for the fans here, fan cred.
I was just going to bring up another point. Like, the Alvin Kamara situation this week completely threw me for a loop. Like with him being out, Latavius Murray, it was basically like the Denver Broncos situation just with running backs. But Ty Montgomery looked really good. Granted, we were playing the Panthers, but we have lots of depth at running back, and I was very surprised.
Yeah, Ty Montgomery's a good player.
I think the Saints are the best roster in the NFL. I still Chiefs are better, but I would say I
Chiefs are pretty good.
I know, and I think the Chiefs are pretty good, but I would say the Saints overall, offense, defense, every single position has a star in it. I think the Saints are the best overall team. And Matan disagrees with me with quarterback. He says, why would you want Drew Brees another year? Dude is done. But I think Drew Brees is still a good quarterback, and especially in the playoffs.
Drew Brees eclipsed 80,000 yards passing just a couple weeks ago. Dan, thanks so much for coming on the fan line. Paul's got your vote of confidence with the Chicago Bears. Not as much. I mean, the Saints are going to win the game, but we'll see.
Hey, there it goes.
I don't know.
Unless there's a pass interference that no one calls for some fucking reason.
A triple doink to send the Saints home. Dan, thanks so much for coming on the line.
Yeah.
I got confidence in the Saints this year. I know it's like any team I root for, they do the opposite. My second favorite team is the Saints, and that's why they lose.
I want to clarify by saying, like, I could see the Saintsing it and losing. Like, I could see that happening and like not being surprised. We'll get to it soon. My official prediction is the Saints win the game. We want to get to our predictions, but we have a special fan coming on the fan line. He's been here with the show since day one. He's taken months off from the show, but he is back and ready to fire some takes coming in week 17 of the NFL season. We've got Nav coming on the fan line. Navneet, How's it
What's
going?
up, boys? Yeah, it's been a very long time. My bad.
I love it.
You like it?
Yeah,
you.
looks good on you.
Yeah, Paul, I was just going to say, you kind of gave the Saints the kiss of death right there by putting your foot down, saying that you're all in on them again. So I think they're going to lose by like 4 to the Bears. I'll lock that in.
Don't tell me. What a passive appearance. It's soon once again for
Yeah.
Paul.
It'll be something, and it'll be funny. And Drew Brees will go out as a loser, so that'll be fun to look forward to. But I do have some actual questions for you guys. I'll start with some Jets talk. Apologies if you went over this already, but Paul, what do you think the Jets should do with the second pick, and then what do you think they're going to do? I know a lot of it depends on like who your coach is, and I don't know if you have a GM spot open. I don't think you do, but I know there's like a lot of factors that like still have to play out. But like, what's your dream scenario?
Yeah, so dream scenario, I think we get Brian Dable in the building. The Jets say they're looking for more of like a CEO type coach. So I think we're going to bring him in. And I think he's been able to retool a lot of quarterbacks who have a lot of different talents. I think Justin Fields really falls under that. I think he's a good mobile quarterback with a lot of raw talent. Saw what he did with Josh Allen. I think he can do that with Justin Fields. And honestly, I think after Fields did to Clemson and maybe could perform against Alabama, I think it is the right decision to take him at 2. Would I be disappointed if they went, or is it Zach Wilson is the other quarterback? Yeah. BYU? I don't think I'd be disappointed. I think that guy also has a lot of talent. He seems to be injury prone, which kind of scares me. Like Sam Darnold hasn't played a full 16-game season. I'd really like to have a good quarterback for all 16 games. Overall, Justin Fields, Brian Dable, let's get it started, run it back, new rookie quarterback.
Look, Syracuse kicker Andre Schmidt is draft eligible, and I believe he will be there at 2. I've heard murmurings that Jacksonville maybe taking him. They've gone through about 3 kickers this season. Andre Schmidt could be going, so keep an eye on him.
Talking about Jacksonville's first pick, there are a lot of rumors about Urban Meyer going to Jacksonville recently and picking Justin Fields at 1. I know I seem crazy like a delusional Jets fan. I don't think it's going to happen. The fact that people are talking about it.
Urban Meyer has been on the record saying that Trevor Lawrence is the best quarterback in college. Like he knows who he's going to pick. So yeah, I mean, it's fun to talk about. It's going to be like a lot of smoke, especially if Justin Fields looks good against Alabama. It'll be a lot of fun. But I'm glad that he didn't look terrible just for your sake, because I think that would have been really sad if Fields looked horrible against Trevor Lawrence. At least he still has something to look forward to. And then my next question is for Yoni. So my dream first 2 rounds for the Patriots in this draft is we take Kyle Pitts at 15, and then we get Mac Jones in the beginning of the second. We may have to trade up to the closer part of the second round. I'm not sure how far he's going to fall, especially if he looks good in the championship. But that's what I want to happen. And I'm okay with Kyle Pitts, or for some reason if Davonta Smith falls, or if we get Waddle with that 15, I want a tight end or a wide receiver, and then I want Mac Jones. What do you want? Do you agree with those 2 picks, or do you want something else?
I mean, you really want the Patriots to try to, get in the batter's box and swing with another first-round skill position player? Because I don't. I would rather them try to do what they do and find value in rounds 4 to 7, or bring someone in free agency and draft where you know how to draft: defensive line, defensive back, offensive line. And I'd rather just get a more conservative pick and a guy who is going to contribute, or trade the picks for players you want. I mean, yeah, I think it would really help if you have a guy like Jalen Waddle come in, or Kyle Pitts come in the building and help. But with the Patriots' track record with skill position guys, and I throw tight ends in there, skill position guys draft in the first round, I'm tired of it. I'm tired of seeing guys like N'Keal Harry and Chad Jackson come and go. And I'd rather them just go out and find a solid defensive end or find a solid defensive back to get in there and contribute.
It may not be a fair comparison, but we drafted Gronk in the first round.
We drafted Gronk in the second round.
Second round? Okay, never mind then. I take it back then. But Kyle Pitts looks so freaking good.
Yeah.
Like, that dude looks unstoppable.
So I agree with you now. I mean, I think it concerns me with Mac Jones. I don't know if he is – I think he would need to sit a year. I think the Patriots should still go with the free agent for this upcoming year. But I think as a developmental quarterback, that would be a good option for the Patriots.
I just like don't see the point. Like I've seen a lot of talk about like trading for Stafford, trading for Matt Ryan, and I just don't get it. Like I like we're right now with this roster, we are not like a quarterback away from even making the playoffs. Like I think if we had Matt Stafford this season, I think at best we're 9-7, 10-6, and I don't think 10-6 was enough to make the playoffs, or like we'd be on the bubble, right? And like if we just plug and play Matt Stafford next season, we don't really gain that much. Like, yeah, that'd be fun, but we can throw that money to like shoring up like the front seven or like finding like a Kenny Galladay or like someone like that. And like, I don't know. I don't really want like Matt Stafford or I want Matt Ryan to go to the San Francisco 49ers. I think that would be sick. And I think that'd be a great move for Kyle Shanahan to make. Like maybe we get Jimmy G back, but like, I don't know. Like I've seen a lot of those talks. I just kind of want us to get our franchise guy. We haven't had to draft an actual QB in a very long time. I think it's Mac Jones. I've seen a lot of talks of us trading up for Zach Wilson because he's looking like a freaking stud, but we'll see. Yeah. And then my very last question, do you think this is the year that we lose Josh HB Dronials?
I don't think so, especially because you guys are leaving, which I think is actually better for him in the long term because then Bill Belichick could get fired soon. You have two, 3 better.
He's not gonna get fired.
Bill Belichick's not going to get fired. No. I mean, I think the point's there, but it's the wrong reasoning. Bill Belichick's not going to get fired, but he might get tired of it and leave. I think, my dad made an interesting point. I think Bill Belichick maybe comes into the season or even out of the season thinking like, okay, that sucked, but like this is something different. I consider this a challenge to myself. I've never really picked this high in the draft and had this much cap room. This is kind of going to be a fun offseason. And if you have that kind of situation and this kind of job security and this kind of organization, you're going to want to stick around. We're also forgetting 2 years ago, this is a guy who took the Indianapolis Colts job and was like on his way to get on the plane to his press conference. And then I was like, nah, I'm just going to stay. And they won the Super Bowl. So, like, it would take a lot for Josh McDaniels to be pulled away from somewhere to be a head coach and to build a team over again. I think there's a part of him that still wants to be a head coach, but even with this team, I think he feels secure in New England. He's going to have a chance to really have some fun in the offseason with the draft and free agency. Belichick sees it the same way. New challenge, new advantages coming into the offseason. I'm confident Josh McDaniels will stay.
I think I'll say it.
Yeah, and also, like, regarding Belichick, like, potentially tiring out, I think he, like, this was the first season we ever saw him speaking so candidly to the media and kind of setting up expectations going into the season. And we kind of all just like brushed it aside and said, oh yeah, you're just saying that. We're going to go 10-6. And like, I said that a lot, but like, he was like basically saying like, yeah, like we sold out to get to the Super Bowl the last 4 years. And now we're going to pay for it this season because we like don't have any money. And like, he said that like directly to the media. And like, we had 8 players opt out and it was fine for the first couple of weeks. And then it really hit the fan. And I don't think he's planning on leaving anytime soon. I think he wants to right the ship, get us back in the playoffs in a couple of years, back in for a Super Bowl run, and maybe 3-4. So we'll see. But yeah, that was all of my main questions. Congrats on another stellar show, boys. And I'll see you guys in the next season.
Quick question before you leave. Yes. I'm wondering if it'll be 1 year or 2 years after he retires that Peyton Pritchard will make the NBA Hall of Fame.
I'm going to go 2.
2?
Usually they won't give him on the first one. Yeah, but I'm going to go 2.
Yeah, I think that's...
He's looking like a stud. Yeah. Absolute great pick.
Pretty
Smith,
good.
I don't
we'll
know.
see. Get Carson Edwards out of there. We got enough guards with Pritchard coming in. Nah, thanks for coming on the fan line. We appreciate it. Come back anytime.
For sure. I will.
Love having you, Nev. I don't know if the Patriots. Again, I think they need to hit rock bottom. I don't think they're close. I think they need to hit rock bottom, get high enough in the draft to get a quarterback. Honestly, that's my view on it. I think they need to be running with free agents until they run out of cap room, then bottom out. I don't know what your thoughts are on that.
Yeah, I mean,
do you
for me,
they're Stafford away?
It's just about track record. You don't have a good track record. Let me say that again. You have a terrible track record of drafting skill position guys in the first 2 rounds. Gronk, okay, and Sony Michel's not bad, but Sony Michel's not great. So that's your track record, and you have a track record of drafting defensive guys and offensive linemen early that are really good. Chandler Jones, Dante Hightower, Nate Solder, Devin McCourty. these are guys they drafted in the first 2 rounds that turned out very well. McCourty is still on the team since 2010, right? So you were good at evaluating those positions. Go in and get good value there. Kyle Duggar is a second-round pick this year. He played well. Chase Winovich, an early pick. He's been playing really well. You can go out in free agency and find guys. Right? I don't want this to turn into like a past Patriots live stream, but like you go back to 2014, the Patriots picked up 2 guys. Oh, Chris Hogan from Buffalo. He's a nobody. And Brandon LaFell was the 3rd guy in Carolina. They rode those guys to the Super Bowl. Different years. LaFell was 14 and Hogan was a couple years later, but they picked up those guys for free agency for pennies and they rode them to the Super Bowl. And because that's what you can do well with wide receivers. And yeah, Tom Brady made up for it and he made him look good.
I was about to say, I think Tom Brady was the system. That's my take on it. But I don't know if that's, I don't know. Like, I feel like that comes with, like, you can pick up bad wide receivers and you have the best quarterback ever.
Yeah, it's not a bad take at all. And it's definitely fair to say that if Tom Brady was here, we would do better and he would make those guys better. But, Tom Brady or not, like, it's looking like N'Keal Harry's still going to be not very good. And so, like, you asked the question from a draft perspective, and I'm thinking from a draft perspective. Like, it would be really sad if the Patriots draft Jalen Waddle and just ruin his career. Because that's what they're doing to N'Keal Harry. I mean, Arizona State, it was N'Keal Harry and Brandon Ayuk both go in the first round in back-to-back years. N'Keal Harry was like, all Pac-12 everything. And then he comes to New England, like, well, he's having a hard time getting along with Brady and learning the system, and he just doesn't really fit in. And, like, with the other wide receivers, it's like, well, tough shit, you drafted him. So, I mean, yeah, you're not good at drafting wide receivers. Don't push the envelope unless you see a guy that's like a layup. But even then, I don't know.
Yeah, and I think I'm seeing this in the comments a lot. People are thinking with Pitts, he's just like a can't-miss prospect. So I don't know. I don't know. Patriots definitely in need of those skill positions. We can see what they do moving forward in the draft. With that, we can move into our predictions.
Yes, final thoughts, predictions this week for the wild card round. Paul, going to read us those games in order of appearance. Quick couple words about them. We've gone long today. We want to make sure to get to all your comments and all your questions on the fan line. We appreciate it. But this is the moment we've all been waiting for. Let's get these predictions. If we're right, suck it. If we're wrong, come back on the fan line next week and let us hear it. Paul, that first game, let's have it.
Yeah, so we got the 7-seed Colts going to the 2-seed Bills in the AFC Saturday afternoon at 1:05 p.m. I got the Bills coming in, winning a big in this game. I think you can take the over on this. I think the Bills are absolutely going to crush them. They dropped a 50-burger last week against, in my opinion, a team in the Dolphins. I think the Dolphins are better than the Colts. I don't even think it's going to be close. What about you, Yoni?
Yeah. Compound that with you have a dome team going to Western New York in January. We'll see how that turns out.
Yeah, that's going to – I didn't even think of that. Yeah. But how that does go to their advantage a little bit is I feel like the Colts are based off the running game. So that might be able to lean in their favor a little bit. Phillip Rivers hasn't looked great, so maybe they wanted to avoid that anyways. We'll see.
Yeah. We both got the Bills, though. Yeah.
Yeah. Then we got the Rams to the Seahawks. That is a rivalry within division game. We got Saturday at 4:40 p.m. I got the Rams coming in here and winning. I know people were down the Rams all year. They've kind of had a bumpy road towards the end of the year, losing to the Jets. But in my opinion, I think Sean McVay is really excited to get back in the playoffs this year after missing it 9-7 last year. I think he definitely comes up with a good game plan to beat Russell Wilson, who has been struggling recently, kind of. So
yeah, he was my MVP pick week 8, and now Adam comes on the prediction he's not going to get a single MVP vote. Another bold prediction by Adam that actually might follow through. Matan, if you're still watching, I got the Seahawks in this game. The Jared Goff thumb injury is still a concern for me. I don't know if he's fully 100% healthy. Tough to win in Seattle. If the Rams don't get the running game going early and they're going to have to rely on Jared Goff to throw 50 passes with that banged up thumb, that's going to be really hard for them. The Seahawks have kind of been flying under the radar, but with late surge pushes by the Cardinals and the Rams to still come out as the division winner, they are still the big brother in that division. They'll get the win.
All right, so we're split there, 1-1. We'll see what happens. Then Saturday night, we Bucks and Washington football team. Again, I think this is going to be close. I do think Tom Brady comes out with the win, though.
Yeah, I think they'll win. Yeah, I mean, I think they'll win. I think either Washington will win narrowly or the Buccaneers destroy them. Like, I personally don't see a situation where the Buccaneers win this game 24-20. The Buccaneers are either going to lose this game or win by 3 touchdowns, in my opinion.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. If it's a defensive game, it leads to the Washington football team's favorite. Next, Sunday afternoon, we got the Ravens-Titans rematch from the divisional round last year where the Titans shocked the world and came into Baltimore, rocked the Ravens. I think the Ravens get their revenge here, and the Ravens come out on top. Lamar Jackson has looked hot these last few games. Ryan Tannehill and the Titans have looked a little slow, even though Derrick Henry getting the 2,000 yards recently. I think the Ravens come out on top.
Yeah, I also think the Ravens come out on top. They're a team you don't want to get in front of. I think the only way I can think about the Titans, the Ravens have really beaten nobody this season, and their losses haven't even been that great. Looking at the New England Patriots loss, they split with the Cleveland Browns. So, I mean, and even in the game they beat the Cleveland Browns, they let up over 40 points in a win. Road win, so still big. But it's going to be a good game. This is the game I'm most looking forward to, but I got Baltimore.
Yeah. Then we got one of our talked segments this week is the Saints-Bears at 4:40. I got the Saints. I don't even think it's going to be close. I think the Bears backed into this spot, losing in the last week. Like, that can't be good for your momentum going into the playoffs. I got the Saints.
Yeah, I have very little, if any, confidence in Mitchell Trubisky. This is going to be the Saints by a mile.
Yeah. Then, finally, we got a rematch from Week 17, the Steelers against the Browns. We got Baker Mayfield going against Ben Roethlisberger this time, not the backup QB. I think the Steelers whomp the Browns. I think the Steelers – I've been saying this for a while, that the Steelers have the Browns number always when they're trying. Last week, I didn't think they were trying, so I think the Steelers win this game.
I'm going to disagree with you first. This is not going to be a whomping. This is going to be a close game. I go back and forth on who to pick. I think the Pittsburgh Steelers, you look at their last few games, this is also a team that kind of limped into the playoffs. And the Cleveland Browns want this, right? I think the Steelers, in certain positions, they're better on paper, but the Cleveland Browns really, really, really want this. They're going to pull out everything they've got to win this game. Even though if they win, they'll have to play another game next week. For all the teams in their playoffs itching for a playoff win, this is the Cleveland Browns Super Bowl. And I say that even more so than the Buffalo Bills, even more so than the Chicago Bears, even more so than, say a team like the Indianapolis Colts that snuck in with their new quarterback. Washington, even more so than the Washington football team. This is the team that wants it the most, just to get that playoff win. The Cleveland Browns edge them out so slightly by 4 points or fewer, in my opinion.
I've been saying that the Cleveland Browns are going to get to the first round of the playoffs and lose. We'll see. Well, we will see. You know what? I'm going to end this show with something completely separate. This is my final thought for the show. This is about Peyton Manning. I don't know. Jets fans hate Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning went back to college for a year to avoid the Jets when we had the first overall pick, and then they told Christopher Johnson to hire Adam Gase. And Peyton Manning beat the Jets to get to the Super Bowl in 2009. With the Colts. So everything about Peyton Manning, I hate with all of my heart.
Yeah, he's given the Patriots some bad memories too. Before we sign off, underrated Derrick Henry rushed for 2,000 yards again. The only people who've ever led the league in rushing in back-to-back years made the Hall of Fame. And so we'll see if Derrick Henry makes the Hall of Fame. He adds to a short list of players who have rushed for 2,000 yards. We'll see if he can carry it into next week. Week 17 was a blast. Appreciate you coming on and joining us. And we look forward to welcoming Adam Offen next week to co-host.
Thank you. See you in the playoffs.